All right. Welcome back, my regular viewers, listeners, and watchers. And of course, if you happen to be here for the very first time, well, before I go any further, my name is Rahul George, India's premier eye hypnosis life healer coach and your personal guide. So today's pod is definitely, inspired and a reflection of the thinking that I've been doing as a lot of you might have noticed, or even if maybe you're tuning in for the very first time. Yesterday was episode number 500, and on YouTube, and sometimes when we hit these big milestones, we are able to slow time down and recognize what is happening. Um, to be able to really reflect on the significance of the moment. And of course, there are times when we maybe are too preoccupied, and we kind of like the moment passes us by. Now, in my case, of course, I was able to slow time down enough to be able to acknowledge, to be able to earmark the moment. And I'm sure, in times to come, this moment, that I got to experience yesterday will surface, whether it's on my timeline, whether it's, in conversation in the future. And obviously the moment comes and then the moment passes. And so today, I spend a lot of time reflecting on um, not just habits, but what happens after you set these habits in motion. And one of the topics that popped up was consistency. So right now I'm in the process of re-listening to the power of in fact, this is the Atomic Habits that I'm re-listening to. For those of you who've been around, there are a couple of books around habit. There's Tiny Habits, there's Power of Habits, um, and of course there is Atomic Habits, right? These are like three very, very specific books that are focused on habits, and the name is in the title. Of course, there are many, many more, but these are like three that I would, of course, highly recommend. And in fact, as I was re-listening to it today, I was having flashes and flashbacks of 2020, 2021. At a point in time, this is, of course, the period of COVID as well, when um, when there were moments when we were allowed to go out, and I was able to run. At that point, I was, of course, living in Bombay, and I was able to run on the streets sometimes, by the seaside. And even now, as I was reflecting back on life, literally, 4 or 5 years later, um, one thing that definitely came to mind is that yesterday, celebrating this milestone of 500 was no small feat. Um, if I was to go back in time, maybe to 7, 8 years ago, um, there's no way, if I had stayed the way I was 7 or 8 years ago, there's no way I would have been able to celebrate yesterday. So something that especially as healers and coaches, this is something that at times can be very demoralizing, meaning that when you look around and you see people who may be quote unquote ahead of you, they may be ahead in the game, if you want to look at it like that. Or you just may sort of, it's like, if you go on to social media, you have enough and more reasons to beat yourself up beat yourself up in terms of the things that you're not doing, the things that you should be doing. But if you're looking for the antidote, this is something that now I can proudly and I can firmly say this, that um, at the time when you're thinking of making shifts, you're thinking of making changes, um, it may not amount to much, it may not look like much, but it's only much later that you actually recognize that, you know, there are these shifts that have happened in your life. And I know for a fact that, whether it is how I interact with people, whether it's on a Zoom call, or whether it is, impromptu being asked to speak, um, or just to be more present to whether it's to my clients or whether it's creating these kind of videos, because obviously several years ago, if I was to go back into my mind from several years ago, the idea of sitting here like this looking at the screen and talking was beyond alien, right? There's no way I could have imagined that I would be here like this talking to you, as if literally, because I always believe that when I'm looking at the screen, I'm actually talking to you. And to me, this is also like a time capsule, because I'm saying I'm recording this at this point, which is literally the 27th of Feb 2025, and you are watching it at some point in the future. Even if you're watching it maybe live, there is a slight delay, which is basically in the future that you're watching it, or maybe you're watching it a day, month, year, 5, 10 years later. Who knows, right? But the point in simple terms is that consistency is something that is only achieved by practice. And the intention that I had set to literally record one pod every day was all that, you know, if I look back over a period of time, that was the biggest difference uh, that I had made in my decision making, in my choice. I was not going to complicate things. I just said, okay, I will record every day. And incidentally, earlier today, I was watching a video on YouTube about this, traveler who lives out of a camper van and travels the world. And he had set this rule for himself that I will run every single day. I will run 5 kilometers every single day. And then, of course, being a traveler, he's traveled to different parts of the world, hot climate, cold climate, wet climate, dry climate, and regardless, he made it a point to run every single day. And the like we talk about the power of incremental gain. It's very hard to measure in the moment. It's sometimes even harder to measure a few days, a few months. It really depends on what you're working on, and is it that time of mera number aa gaya? Because if it's not, then a lot of times it can feel like it's like, am I doing the right thing? Some One of the things that helped me on this journey, of course, was I decided that I will not study metrics. I will not look at metrics until, um, until I really believe that it's useful to look at metrics. So, as my mentor had once said many, many years ago, that you know, uh, discount, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but discount or disregard the social feedback, meaning um, don't look at how many likes or how many clicks or whatever that you're getting. All that stuff will come, and I can promise you this: the intention of me recording this is to build that muscle. And like I said, these skills are something that translate into so many other areas, right? Whether it is confidence, whether it's presence, whether it's fluency, whether it's the ability to be able to think on my feet, literally, like think in the moment, or respond in the moment, to be calm, to enjoy the process. There are so many of these micro habits that are that I get to experience every single day, and that is really the journey. And obviously, when people ask me now, more than 2 years later, it's like saying I know I have something to show for it, because for a lot of people to be able to do to be able to show up consistently is in itself the biggest hurdle. So, as I said, today is the day after, and so I'm, uh, kind of like enjoying the hangover of episode 500. And as I said, I never did it so that I could, oh wow, I'm celebrating, the 500th episode. So it's like in the most simplified way, I have, made this part of my life, and of course, I have come to enjoy it. I have grown to enjoy the process, and in all of this, as I said, I found for me the simplest way to be able to execute it. In the past, I have tried to record videos where lighting was important and gear was important and editing was important. Even today, at the time of this recording, I literally shun anything to do with editing. Right, so all these videos are pretty raw, but they have improved with time. Obviously, you can see there's a little more lighting or thought into background versus just a blank wall. So all of these things, there will be ample time to work on that craft. And just as an aside, today we completed already 48 episodes of the podcast where I interview healers and coaches on the eye hypnosis life coaching journeys. And I know that till now, it's like quote unquote, it's not even being guilty, but it's like I've not looked at the editing aspect. So I just make sure that the video gets recorded. I make sure that we're doing it live. So there is already a preset video available. And with time, there is that bank of content that can very easily be reshared and repurposed and, you know, re-edited, if you want to call it that, right? So there's obviously a lot of beautiful stuff coming in the future. But the point in all of this, like I said, is, it's all about consistency. And what I have found is that because I was able to make it simple, I was able to be consistent. The moment I tried to complicate things in the past, the habit stopped. So, as I said, one beautiful thing as we start to wrap, one beautiful thing that I discovered that I finally was able to figure out a way to journal every day. So sometimes these pods are more me just kind of sharing what I'm thinking in my mind and just kind of wrapping up the day, which is why I usually prefer to record this at night because it's a good way to kind of reflect on the day, reflect on life, reflect on maybe conversations or sessions or programs that I might have run in the day or at that point in the business. And literally, it's just a way for me to kind of put my thoughts together. So, at one level, it is definitely therapeutic. And also, I know that, especially as a healer coach, for you, this is just another mirror to remind you that you are exactly where you're meant to be. And maybe if you're struggling right now, things will only get better. So, and I've obviously said this before, but I'll say it again. If there's any way in which I can help you, please do reach out and let me know. Because one thing I have recognized is that in this work that we do, it's so important to have community. Everything else is a bonus. You're learning something when you're part of a community, that's a bonus. Or maybe you join a community to be able to run your Facebook ads or to be able to learn techniques. Right? There are so many processes out there when we talk about healing, or maybe you want to be able to get high ticket clients or low ticket clients or whatever whatever it is that you're looking for in your life. But something I've come to understand that's even more, it's like the solution isn't that. The solution is being in a community where you have people who can hold that space for you, who can truly be non-judgmental, and you know like your struggle is their struggle, so they know if right now you're struggling, they've been through it, or maybe they themselves are going through. So there's that kindred spiritedness that exists in our community, and I absolutely love it. I feel very, very blessed that all these years have led up to this point, that now we have a community that's only growing, and more and more people are getting to be there and then hold that space for each other. And of course there is process. We do sessions every Monday and Friday. We do the eye hypnosis life experiences, which is a yearly membership where you literally get 100, little more than 100 of these sessions through the year. And depending on where you're joining us from, this is available to you. Whether you joined through a program or whether you joined us directly, this is available to you. So take advantage. Of course, because it's twice a week, every Monday and Friday, you get to actually meet other people, and you get to meet me live as well. If you haven't joined already and you're at that point in your life where you're like, okay, maybe community is that piece that I've actually, overlooked. To come join us and see if this community is meant for you and is actually able to help you, is able to hold that space for you. And apart from this, obviously, there are other programs that we run so that you can, go deeper into your journey of healing and coaching, because you know that now that you're at this point in your life, you want to be able to help other people, and you want to be able to be that, force for good. And it's so important to not only, work on the skills, but to also have that space where you can be yourself. So I've said this before, I'll say it again. Uh, you know, uh, Always, always, always remember to live your purpose. And of course, if there's any way in which I can help you, please do reach out and let me know. Having said all of that, God bless, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.